We tell stories of human. Way, not with artificial voices or AI slop. In the end, what's HFI without? Humanity? Subscribe to keep it this way. My name is Amir Sohal. Let's begin. The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. Stars shimmered in the endless blackness, and planets rotated silently around their suns. In this corner of space, the Galactic Empire had always felt safe. Its fleets patrolled the known systems. Its soldiers trained to defend its borders, and its leaders believed nothing could challenge their power. Yet tonight, something was wrong. In the observation room of the Empire's capital ship, Admiral Cray scanned the star maps. His eyes narrowed. Sensors had detected something unusual. A massive object was moving through the outer rim, something not in any of their records. "It's impossible," he muttered. The object had no visible signature, no energy emissions, no life signs. Yet the readings showed it was massive, larger than any battleship in the Empire's fleet. Its movement was steady, almost purposeful, like a predator moving silently toward its prey. Cray tapped his communicator. "Report to the Council. We have an unknown ship approaching our sector. I repeat, an unknown ship." Minutes later, the Council room was crowded. Generals, strategists, and high-ranking officers gathered. They watched the holographic projection of the approaching object. Gasps filled the room. No one spoke. This can't be real," said General Vero. His voice trembled. "There are no records of any ship like this. Not in the archives. Not in history." Cray leaned forward. "Then we treat it as a threat. All fleets to alert positions. Prepare for engagement." But the generals were divided. Some demanded an immediate attack. Others urged caution. "We don't know what it is," warned strategist Lyra. "Attacking blindly could start a war we cannot control." Meanwhile, the mysterious ship continued its approach. The Empire's fleet moved to intercept it, but sensors showed something strange. Every time a fleet approached, the ship adjusted its course, keeping itself always at a perfect distance. It did not fire. It did not communicate. It simply came closer. Hours passed. The Council grew restless. Rumors began to circulate among the officers. Some whispered that the ship was a ghost from a long-lost civilization. Others feared it was a weapon the Empire had never seen, capable of destroying entire planets. Then, in the midst of tension, Admiral Cray received a private message from the Intelligence Department. The message was short, but it made him freeze. "Sir, it appears to be human." The word hung in the room like a shockwave. Humans? The species had been considered extinct for centuries. Historical records described them as fierce warriors who had once challenged multiple star systems at once. Then, mysteriously, they disappeared. Most believed the humans had gone extinct, wiped out by their enemies or by war. But now, one of their ships had appeared, silent, massive, and unstoppable. The Council erupted in chaos. Generals argued. Strategists calculated, recalculated, and recalculated again. No one knew how to respond. Panic began to spread. The idea that humans could still exist, and in this part of the galaxy, was almost too much to comprehend. As the arguments continued, the unknown ship stopped moving. It hovered silently at the edge of the capital system. Every sensor, every scanner, every telescope focused on it. No engines roared. No weapons glowed. Nothing happened. Then, the impossible occurred. A signal appeared on the Council's communication screens. A simple, clear transmission. No noise. No static. No alien language. Just human speech. "Greetings," said a calm, steady voice. The room went silent. No one breathed. No one moved. All eyes were fixed on the screen. Admiral Cray swallowed hard. "It's a human officer," he said. "Yes," the voice continued. "We have come to observe. We mean no harm. Yet, your presence in this sector has crossed a line." The Council froze. Every general, every officer, felt the weight of history pressing down on them. This was not a normal patrol ship. This was a human ship, and humans were not weak. They had fought entire fleets, entire empires, and had disappeared only when the galaxy itself feared them. The voice continued calmly, almost as if it were a teacher speaking to misbehaving students. "You will not provoke us. You will not underestimate us. We are watching. The human ship did not fire. It did not attack. It simply waited, silently, but with an unspoken warning. The calm, measured tone of the officer was terrifying. It carried a weight of experience, of power, of centuries of survival. For hours, the Empire debated what to do. Attack? Retreat? Attempt communication? Every choice seemed risky. Every move could start a war that no one was prepared for. Outside, the galaxy remained quiet. The human ship floated, waiting, as if testing them, observing every reaction. The Empire's fleet could not approach, could not retreat, could not act. They were trapped in uncertainty, and uncertainty was dangerous. By the time night fell on the Central Command planet, fear had taken hold. Rumors spread to the Empire's ranks. Some whispered that the humans had returned to reclaim their lost territory. Others feared a new war unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Every soldier felt it. Something was coming. Something big. Something unstoppable. And yet, the human ship did nothing. It did not attack. It did not send another message. It simply floated in the darkness, its size dwarfing even the largest battleships of the Empire. Admiral Cray knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was not a patrol. This was a turning point. Somewhere in the galaxy, humans still lived. Somewhere, humans had survived. Somewhere, humans had grown stronger. And now, the Galactic Empire was about to learn that silence is never weakness. As the Council ended for the night, the last transmission from a human ship remained on their screens. "We are here. You have been warned." The fleet returned to their docking bays. Soldiers whispered in fear. Officers stared at the dark skies. Histories of past wars, past battles, past victories. They all seemed meaningless now. The galaxy had changed in an instant. One silent ship had arrived, and with it, the entire balance of power shifted. Admiral Cray walked alone on the observation deck, staring into the stars. His mind raced. Every strategy, every plan, every contingency he had prepared suddenly seemed useless. There was only one thing he knew for certain. The Empire had been blind, and now it was awake. The human ship waited, patient, silent, powerful, unyielding, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The council room of the Galactic Empire was buzzing, but not with confidence. It was buzzing with fear. Every officer, every strategist, every general, silent only for a moment, had now descended into chaos. The humans had appeared. One ship, one silent, massive, impossibly advanced ship. But the implications were staggering. Admiral Cray stood at the head of the room, his face stern, but his mind raced faster than ever. He knew the council depended on him to appear calm, to project strength, but inside, he felt a chill he hadn't felt in decades. "We need a plan," he said, though even his voice lacked conviction. General Vero slammed his fist on the table. "A plan? There is no plan. They are humans. Humans. Entire fleets, entire civilizations. They fought us before, and now one of them is here, and we don't even know why." Strategist Lyra adjusted her glasses, her eyes darting nervously to the holographic projection of the human ship floating at the edge of the sector. "We do not understand their intentions. They haven't attacked. They haven't communicated fully. But their presence is enough to paralyze us." "Paralyze us?" snarled General Vero. "We have fleets. We have weapons. They are extinct. They can't exist." The room fell silent for a long moment. Every officer turned to the admiral. Cray himself felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. Humanity, once thought gone, had returned, and their return was no accident. A signal appeared again. The same calm, measured human voice. "You have crossed into our space. We do not wish to escalate. Yet, your fleets are in violation. You must retreat or consequences will follow." The message was simple, clear, terrifying. Admiral Cray swallowed hard. "Consequences? What does that even mean?" he muttered under his breath. The council erupted again. Some generals demanded an immediate attack. "We can't wait. They are dangerous. Destroy them now before more arrive." Others argued for caution. "We don't know their strength. They can annihilate our fleets without breaking a sweat. We must communicate. We must negotiate." The debate raged for hours. Officers pounded tables. Shouts echoed in the vast chamber. Strategists calculated projections on the holograms, showing probable outcomes. Every scenario ended in disaster if they acted recklessly. Meanwhile, the human ship continued to hover silently. Its size was intimidating. Its sensors were unmatched. And there was a presence about it. A sense that it had already seen the Empire's fleets, analyzed their capabilities, and found them lacking. A young officer, Lieutenant Mara, whispered to her neighbor, "Do you think they know how many of us there are? Do you think they can see everything?" The neighbor shook his head. "It doesn't matter if they see us. They're humans. They're dangerous." The Council's oldest member, Grand Strategist Elven, finally spoke. His voice was calm, measured, and carried weight beyond the chaos. "We have forgotten history. We have grown arrogant. We believed humans were extinct. We assumed that no race could survive without leaving a trace. But we were wrong." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Humans are survivors. They are fighters. And they have returned not because they are weak, but because they are ready. The room fell silent. Fear spread like wildfire. Some officers turned pale. Others gripped the edges of the table as if it would hold them upright. Admiral Cray finally spoke, his voice steady, though his mind churned. "We cannot attack. Not yet. And yet we cannot retreat. If we retreat, it will be a sign of weakness. If we attack, we risk destruction. We are trapped." As if on cue, the human ship sent another transmission. This time, a visual appeared. A human officer stood on the bridge, their uniform simple but authoritative. Their expression was calm, their eyes steady. "You will not provoke us," the human said, "but you will also not underestimate us. We are observing. We are patient. And we are not alone." The words hung in the council room like a thunderclap. Not alone. How many humans were there? How many fleets had survived in secret? Every officer felt the weight of possibility pressing down like a heavy hand. Rumors began to spread among the council. Some whispered that humans had hidden entire fleets in other galaxies, waiting for the right time to return. Others feared that the humans had learned to control technologies beyond imagination. Ships that could move faster than light, weapons that could disable entire fleets, shields that could not be penetrated. Strategist Lyra brought up an ancient archive. Dusty files, almost forgotten, described the last wars humans had fought. Entire fleets destroyed. Entire planets liberated or annihilated. Humans had never shown mercy, and yet they had disappeared without a trace. Why? The room was tense. Every officer felt the history of the galaxy pressing on them. The humans were not only alive, they were stronger than ever. And now, the Empire faced the terrifying reality that they were no longer the dominant force. Hours turned into days. Every moment, the human ship hovered at the edge of a sector. It did nothing, yet it dominated everything. Every fleet movement, every strategy session, every calculation was influenced by the presence of that single ship. And then, the unimaginable happened. Sensors detected another object warping in from deep space. Another ship, larger, faster, and then another. The council room erupted into panic. Admiral Cray's heart raced. "How many?" he whispered. The intelligence officer replied, shaking. We do not know. They are multiple. Too many to count." The humans had returned. Not just one ship, but a fleet, silent, deadly, and precise. For the first time in centuries, the Empire realized that it was not the strongest. It was not untouchable. It was vulnerable. Grand Strategist Thalen leaned back in his chair. "We have underestimated them. We have ignored history. And now we face the consequences of our arrogance." The human ships began to take formation. They did not attack. They did not communicate. They simply formed a blockade around the capital system, a silent warning that the Empire had crossed a line. Admiral Cray knew the Empire had a choice. Fight and risk annihilation. Retreat and risk humiliation. Or attempt diplomacy, and hope that the humans would accept words where actions might fail. The council voted. Some still argued for attack. Others for negotiation. No decision satisfied everyone. Fear and uncertainty hung over every word spoken, every plan proposed. Outside, The galaxy remained quiet. Stars shimmered. Planets turned. But in the heart of the Empire, silence was broken by the sound of panic, fear, and uncertainty. The humans had returned, and they were watching. Admiral Cray stared at the human ships on projection, feeling a mix of awe, fear, and respect. He knew the galaxy had changed in a single moment. One ship had arrived. One fleet had returned. And in that instant, the Empire realized a truth it could no longer deny. Humans were not extinct. Humans were not weak. And humans were not to be underestimated. For centuries, the Empire had controlled borders, planets, and fleets. For centuries, it had believed itself supreme. But now, it was forced to confront the reality that an entire species, thought gone, had survived, adapted, and returned stronger than ever. And the question echoed through every mind in the council room. What will humans do next? The answer was unknown. The outcome was uncertain. But one thing was clear. The era of human silence had ended, and the Galactic Empire would never be the same. The Empire's council had never felt so powerless. The humans had appeared silently, their ship massive, their presence overwhelming. But the real shock came when the first communication arrived, a calm, measured, almost unnerving human voice. The projection flickered to life in the council chamber. The room went completely silent. Every officer, general, and strategist felt a strange, almost magnetic tension. The human officer standing there was not intimidating in size or weaponry, but in presence. There was a calmness in their eyes, a certainty in their posture, a subtle strength that made the Empire's finest feel like children before a teacher. "I am Commander Rylan of the United Human Defense Fleet," the officer began. His voice was steady, deliberate, without aggression, without hesitation. "We have detected your fleets. We have observed your activities. Your intrusion into this sector is unauthorized." A murmur ran through the council. Unauthorized? The Empire had never been challenged so directly, so calmly, without fear. The humans spoke as if they were the rulers of the galaxy, yet without claiming conquest. General Vero slammed his fist onto the table. "This is absurd. One ship, one fleet, and they dare speak to us like equals?" Admiral Cray held up a hand, his face pale but composed. "Quiet. Listen. We don't understand what we're facing yet. Let's hear what they have to say." Commander Ryland's calm voice continued. "We are not here to attack. We are not here to destroy. We are here to protect. Protection of borders, protection of balance, and protection of life." Protection? The generals whispered among themselves. Protection? Was this a trick? Could such an advanced civilization really just be protective? Or were they baiting the Empire, testing their reactions before striking? Strategist Lyra leaned forward. "Do they expect us to believe that humans, a species capable of annihilating fleets, are not here for war?" Ryland's projection tilted slightly. "We observe, we measure, we intervene only when necessary. Your fleets are in violation of space that is under observation. You've been warned." The word warned struck the room like thunder. There was no threat, no attack, no ultimatum, just calm certainty. And yet, every officer in the room felt it as a threat. Humans did not need to threaten, they simply existed. Their existence, their presence, was enough to paralyze entire fleets. Then came the most unnerving part. Ryland's eyes seemed to pierce through the holographic projection. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness. We have fought entire galaxies. We have survived disasters that would have ended countless civilizations. And yet we return, not for conquest, but for balance." The council gasped. A silence settled over the room, deeper than any they had felt before. It was not fear born of imagination. It was fear born of truth. Admiral Cray's mind raced. Every historical record, every strategic calculation, every simulation he had run suddenly seemed inadequate. Humans had survived centuries of isolation. Humans had mastered technology far beyond what the Empire understood. And humans had returned not as conquerors, but as guardians. One young officer, Lieutenant Mara, whispered in awe, "They could destroy us, and they choose not to." Vero barked, "But why? Why are they holding back? Are they testing us? Waiting for a mistake?" Ryland's voice came again, calm, measured, unflinching. "We do not act without reason. We do not destroy without necessity. Your fleets have the choice to retreat peacefully or to remain in violation. Should you choose the latter, consequences will follow. But understand this. Our intention is not to kill unless you force us to. The generals' faces turned pale. Consequences. That one word, simple and understated, carried more weight than any cannon or missile. It implied power far beyond comprehension. And yet, the humans had not even fired a shot. Kray's eyes narrowed. They are pacifists, he muttered. But even as he said it, he knew it could not be true. Humans capable of such overwhelming power, and yet restraint? That was almost impossible. Outside the projection, the humans' massive ship remained motionless, but sensors showed subtle movements, shields activating and deactivating, energy fluxes running across its hull. Every sensor reading suggested preparation, readiness, and unmatched precision, not aggression, but capability beyond imagination. "Sir," said strategist Lyra, voice trembling slightly, "we can't measure their full strength. Every scan fails. Every sensor shows only a fraction of what they are capable of." Kray nodded grimly. "That's why we must tread carefully. One wrong move, and the Empire could face destruction we cannot comprehend." Suddenly, the projection changed. Ryland's face was replaced by a wider view, a fleet of human ships appearing from deep space. Their formation was precise, their numbers staggering, and yet they moved silently, almost peacefully. The humans had arrived, not as invaders, but as a demonstration. "Do you see now?" Ryland's voice echoed through the chamber. "We have returned. We observe. We protect. Your aggression is unnecessary, but your ignorance is dangerous." The council members felt the weight of history pressing down on them. Humans have been written off as extinct. Humans have been underestimated. And now, the galaxy itself was forced to reconsider everything it knew. Vero stood up, voice shaking. "They are untouchable. Even one fleet, how can we match them? We can't. We have no chance." Admiral Kray's voice was calm, though inside, fear clawed at his mind. "And that is why we must choose wisely. We cannot fight what we do not understand. We cannot negotiate from weakness, but we cannot challenge power we cannot match." Outside, the human ships moved in subtle patterns, scanning, measuring, observing. The silence of the fleet was deafening. It spoke volumes. Every officer and soldier in the Empire understood the unspoken truth. These humans could destroy the entire fleet in minutes if they wished, but they had not. They were waiting, watching, judging. Lyra turned to Kray. "They are disciplined, precise, calm. They don't panic, not even now. And that," Kray said quietly, "is why we fear them. Not because of weapons, not because of numbers, but because they are humans." As night fell over the capital system, the Empire realized something terrifying. Humans had returned not to conquer, not to fight, but to exist as a force of balance. And in doing so, they had shown a power far greater than any cannon or missile. The power of restraint, strategy, and patience. The council finally agreed to attempt diplomacy. Messages were drafted careful, measured, respectful. The Empire had never spoken like this before. Fear, respect, and awe tempered every word. Every phrase was weighed as if it could mean life or death. And all the while, the human fleet remained calm, silent, and ever-present. It was a paradox. So close, yet untouchable. So visible, yet unreachable. Their presence alone was a message more powerful than any weapon. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never ignore them again. Admiral Kray looked at the projection one last time before the council adjourned. Ryland's eyes met his in the flickering hologram. Calm, measured, confident, ready, and Kray knew, whatever came next, the Empire was no longer in control. The humans had arrived, and the balance of power had shifted forever. "We have been warned," Kray whispered, "and we must listen." The calm that had filled the council room moments ago was now gone. The human message had been clear: retreat or face consequences. Yet, the Empire had hesitated. They were proud. They were confident in their fleets, their numbers, their weapons. They thought humans, if they even existed, could not match them. They were wrong. It started quietly at first. The sensors picked up a subtle distortion in space, a ripple almost imperceptible. Fleet captains looked at each other, confused. "Readings are off," one officer muttered. "It's as if their ships are phasing." Then it began in earnest. One of the Empire's patrol ships approached cautiously, weapons ready. A human ship, still silent, still unmoving in formation, extended a faint energy beam. It touched the Empire ship for a fraction of a second, and then silence. The patrol ship went dead. Engines stopped. Weapons offline. Systems frozen. No explosion. No fire. Nothing except complete paralysis. The council gasped. Admiral Cray's hands gripped the table. What did they do?" Strategist Lyra whispered, voice trembling. "They disabled it. Without firing a single shot. Without killing anyone." General Vero's face turned pale. "Impossible. How? What kind of technology is this?" The answer came moments later. Another patrol ship approached. Another beam. Another ship offline. One by one, the Empire's fleet began to falter. Systems stopped working. Shields dropped. Weapons went silent. And still, the human ships did not move aggressively. They simply demonstrated their capability. Powerful, precise, absolute. "Observe," came Commander Ryland's calm voice from the projection. "Our intent is not destruction, but we will act decisively if provoked." The words were simple. The actions were terrifying. The Empire realized that these humans had mastered technology that could neutralize entire fleets without firing a single weapon. They had not attacked. They had simply proven that attack was unnecessary. Officers rushed to understand the beams, the energy fields, the strange effects. But every attempt failed. Sensors were blocked. Computers failed to calculate. Predictions were useless. The humans operated on a level beyond comprehension. "Sir," said Lieutenant Mara, trembling as she stared at the projection of human ships. "They could destroy us all, and they choose not to. They're showing mercy." Admiral Cray nodded, though inside he felt the weight of fear pressing down like a leaden cloak. "Mercy," he muttered, "or strategy. Perhaps both. They're showing us exactly how powerful they are, and how small we really are." Outside the capital system, the human fleet moved with perfect coordination. They were everywhere and nowhere at once, appearing simultaneously at multiple points, scanning, analyzing, testing the Empire's response. Each move was calculated, each action precise. They did not panic. They did not hesitate. They did not need to. The Empire tried retaliation. Fleets fired weapons. Lasers cut through the darkness of space. Missiles streaked toward the human ships. And yet, nothing hit. Every projectile faltered, stopped, or fell harmlessly short. The humans had anticipated every move, every attack, every contingency. They were not reacting. They were controlling. The council room went silent as the scale of the humans' power became clear. No one had ever seen technology like this. Not even in the archives. Not even in the lost histories of the galaxy. The humans were beyond imagination. Grand Strategist Thalen finally spoke, voice low but heavy with realization. They are not just advanced. They are perfect. They anticipate every action. They control every variable. And yet they do not attack. They are teaching us something. "What are they teaching us?" demanded General Vero, panic creeping into his voice. "That even power without control is meaningless," Thalen said quietly. "They could destroy us, and yet they choose not to. That is strength beyond weapons. That is mastery." The human fleet began to form a blockade around the capital system. Not an aggressive blockade, but a clear warning. The Empire had no freedom of movement here. Every fleet, every ship, every soldier understood the unspoken message. Move and risk annihilation. Stand still and learn humility. Commander Ryland's voice spoke once more. "We act only when necessary. Your fleets are strong, but your choices are reckless. You have been warned." The message was simple, yet the meaning was profound. The humans had shown power. They had shown restraint. They had shown wisdom. And in doing so, they had turned the tables on an empire that had believed itself untouchable. Admiral Cray walked the observation deck, staring out at the human ships. They floated like silent giants, calm and poised. He felt something he had not felt in decades. Awe, fear, yes. Respect, yes. But awe pure, undeniable awe. A young officer beside him whispered, almost reverently, Do you think they could have destroyed us all in seconds? Cray did not answer immediately. He only nodded slowly. Yes, and yet they didn't. That is a lesson. In the council room, debates continued, but the tone had shifted. No one spoke of attack anymore. The word retreat was now on everyone's lips, though none dared voice it fully. Diplomacy, caution, observation, these were the only choices left. And yet, the fear lingered. Humans had arrived not as conquerors, but as teachers of harsh lesson. Power without understanding, arrogance without respect, and ignorance of history could destroy an empire faster than any weapon. Outside, the human ships shimmer in the blackness of space. Silent, patient, precise. They were the proof that humanity had survived. Not only survived, but mastered everything that the galaxy thought impossible. And the Empire realized something terrifying. The humans had returned not because they wanted war, not because they sought conquest, but because they had survived. They had grown stronger. They had adapted. And now, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted irrevocably. Admiral Cray stared at the fleet, at the silent, untouchable human ships. He knew the Empire faced a choice. Fight and risk annihilation. Retreat and face humiliation. Or negotiate and hope that the humans would accept words in place of action. All the while, Commander Ryland's voice echoed in the council chamber, calm, measured, unstoppable. We are here. You have been warned. Choose wisely. The human demonstration was complete. No lives were lost. No destruction occurred. Yet the Empire had learned more in a single moment than it had in centuries of conquest and strategy. The lesson was clear, undeniable, and terrifying. The humans were not only back, they were the strongest force in the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Empire was silent. Not a whisper, not a command, not even a breath. The demonstration of human power had left every officer, every soldier, and every general frozen. One fleet, one single human fleet, had disabled their ships, controlled the battlefield, and yet caused no casualties. No one spoke of retaliation anymore. The word fear had transformed into something heavier, more permanent. Respect. Admiral Cray stood at the observation deck, staring at the human fleet. The massive ships hover like gods in the void of space, their forms gleaming against the stars. The scale of what the humans had achieved, and what they could achieve, was impossible to ignore. They had returned, not to dominate, not to destroy, but to teach a lesson that the galaxy would never forget. A message arrived on the council's communicator. Commander Ryland appeared, his calm eyes meeting the gaze of every officer simultaneously. No words were needed. His presence alone carried authority. Leaders of the Galactic Empire, Ryland began, voice steady and measured. You have been tested. You have been given a chance to choose the path of wisdom or the path of arrogance. History has not forgotten the actions of your species, nor will we. But the future is yet unwritten. The council listened in stunned silence. Every word felt like a hammer, striking at the foundations of their pride. Humans did not threaten. Humans did not rage. Humans spoke with certainty, the kind of certainty that comes from experienced survival and moral strength. We possess the power to destroy entire fleets, Ryland continued, to burn planets, to erase civilizations. Yet, we had not done so. Because power is meaningless without judgment. Strength is meaningless without purpose. You have seen our capabilities. You have felt the consequences of underestimating us. You now have a choice. General Vero's voice trembled as he muttered, They could destroy us all of us, and they choose mercy. Yes, Cray said quietly, though his words were meant for no one but himself. They are showing us what it means to be human, not weak, not violent, but wise and disciplined. Ryland's projection shifted, showing the full fleet in formation. Every ship aligned perfectly, engines humming with silent power. We do not act without reason. We do not kill without necessity. Our return is not for war, but for balance. The galaxy has changed. You may continue your old ways, but know this. We will intervene whenever balance is threatened, wherever injustice grows unchecked. The council was shaken. None of their strategies, none of their histories, none of their victories mattered anymore. The humans had not attacked, yet they had demonstrated absolute dominance. The Empire was forced to acknowledge that they were no longer the supreme power in the galaxy. Admiral Cray swallowed hard and finally spoke to the council. We cannot fight them. We cannot outsmart them. We cannot negotiate from a position of strength. We are at their mercy. Thalen, the grand strategist, nodded gravely. Not mercy, he said. Respect. They have returned to show us the difference between power and wisdom, strength and control. They have returned to remind the galaxy of humility. And we have ignored history for too long. A long silence followed. Every officer, every soldier, every strategist understood the gravity of the moment. This was not just about fleets or weapons. It was about the very essence of power and responsibility. Humans had survived for centuries, mastered technology, and returned to show the galaxy that domination was meaningless without understanding. Then Ryland's voice came again, calm, measured, and unyielding. You may ask why we do not destroy you, why we do not conquer you. The answer is simple. Humanity fights only when necessary. We defend, we protect, we uphold the balance of life and freedom. Your arrogance was a test, and you have passed partially. But lessons must be learned, or history will repeat itself. Admiral Cray felt a chill run down his spine. Humans had not just returned. They had returned to enforce a moral code the galaxy had long forgotten. Their presence was a reminder that strength without control was meaningless, and that arrogance could bring an empire to its knees without a single shot fired. Outside the observation window, human ships slowly began to move away, forming precise trajectories, as if leaving space for reflection rather than conquest. Their departure was deliberate, calculated, yet not threatening. Each ship radiated a silent message. We are here. We have returned. We watch. We remember. The council realized something profound. The humans were not conquerors, yet they were supreme. They had the power to destroy worlds, yet they chose restraint. They had the knowledge to dominate civilizations, yet they chose observation. The lesson was clear, unforgettable, and terrifying. Humanity had returned, not to rule, but to ensure the galaxy respected life, freedom, and balance. Lieutenant Morrow whispered, They have changed everything. The galaxy, our empire, we will never be the same. Vero's voice shook as he admitted, We underestimated them. We ignored history. And now we must learn humility. Admiral Cray nodded. Yes, we must learn. Not from victories, not from archives, not from pride, but from their example, from their restraint, their wisdom, their humanity. The human fleet continued to move silently, leaving the capital system behind. Yet their presence lingered like a shadow. The Empire would feel it in every decision, every strategy, every plan from that day forward. The lesson was eternal. Underestimate humans, and the galaxy itself could change in an instant. As the council disbanded, a quiet respect replaced fear. Officers spoke softly, carefully. Strategists recalculated plans with caution, considering not just numbers, but morality, wisdom, and restraint. The Empire had faced the might of humanity and survived, but only because humanity chose mercy. Admiral Cray returned to the observation deck alone. He gazed into the stars, imagining the human fleet disappearing into the blackness of space. He understood something profound. The humans had returned not for conquest, not for revenge, not for glory, but for the galaxy. They were guardians, silent, powerful, and patient. The Admiral whispered to himself, We have been tested, and we have learned. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not gone. Humanity is eternal. And in that quiet moment, the galaxy itself seemed to acknowledge a new era. The humans had returned, not to dominate, but to teach. To remind every civilization that true strength lies not in weapons or numbers, but in wisdom, restraint, and the courage to do what is right. From that day forward, the Galactic Empire never ignored humans again. The story of their arrival spread across systems and planets, carried in whispers, reports, and records. They were a legend reborn, a reminder that silence is never weakness, and that a single ship or a single species could change the fate of the galaxy forever. And the galaxy would never forget the day humanity returned. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and support us. It really helps us grow and bring more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.